Get out the insurance cards, get out the copays. The office is open, my friends. Brought to you by drroto.com.
It is time once again for everybody to come aboard that Green Screens Media train. Good evening. This is One and Done. I am the conductor of the aforementioned Green Screens Media train. My name is Jay Heinrich. You can follow me on Twitter at Dr. William Cannon. And most of what I do is tweet about these two guys and tweet about things that these two guys tweet about. Two of the best in the business. If you know them, you know them. And if you don't, you need to. Up top on the up here on the top row with me tonight, you can follow him over in them Twitter streets at Fantasy Nav. But as always, we are going to start with the captain of the Green Screens Media ship, El Capitan himself, Mr. Money, Mike Holland. What it do, baby?
What up? What up? I think it's going to be a good night tonight, and looking for an even better night. Better day tomorrow.
You had a pretty, you gave out some bets today. We gave out some bets over on the old Green Screens account today, and not one, not two, not three, 4 for 4 today on those bets. So nice work over there. And if you're following us over at Get Green Screens on Twitter, you see that stuff coming off of there on the daily. And we're excited to be here, not only to talk about that, but also, Eric, to talk about this big-time slate tomorrow. How are you feeling going into Saturday?
I'm feeling good. Looks like the presumed good news for Mike was also a close call for me. Going to be right on his heels in that one. So we got some momentum coming into this slate. And tomorrow we're looking at another 12-gamer. We're looking at another couple of bonanza seats up for grabs. We're looking at, I think it's a 5K to first this time, right? So all of the stuff we're looking for in the DFS world, and then just broadly from the college basketball context, I mean, these games are absolutely critical, right? So the intensity is going to be dialed up. It's going to be fun to watch, and we're going to try to get this bread.
No doubt about it. We got that 12-game slate, like you were saying, man, and some pretty big totals on this one. Just a weird hammer game to have at the end of this slate. But dropping a 125 total with a 230 tip, it's just ridiculous. But bigger fish to fry. Let's get down and talk a little bit about this slate. Nobody over 10K in pricing tomorrow. Going to open up a lot. 27 players at 7.5K or more. So lots of different ways to approach this. You don't have to depend so much on those like a Trace Jackson Davis or one of those guys at the very top of the price range that you're going to have to shell out 11.2K for or 10.6. You're going to be able to start your lineups off and be able to do more with them because of the cheaper prices. Like I said earlier, 8 of the 12 games, actually, a 145 total or more, going to be in the $15 pull-up jumper. It's 3K to first. Eric, we've got 3K to first there. And then we've got $30 200-person tournament there for the number 48 Bonanza seat, and then the $95 one at a 67 there for the number 49 seat. So big day on this slate, like we said. Those Bonanza seats are starting to become a scarcity if you aren't in yet, and I know our guys here are efforting to get in there. 4-game showcase tonight. Then we're going to hit some tiers. High, mid, and low, of course. Mid, and then get to the low. Why don't we start here with the largest projected point total of the night. Hey, guys, by the way, while you're here, smash those like and subscribe buttons. Leave us some comments. Let us know that you're here hanging out with us. We want to hear from you. Love interacting with you. Make sure to do that. Now, let's move on to Missouri and Georgia, the highest total of the night, 157-point Ken Palm projected total. Missouri, a 3-point favorite here with 80 projected points. Missouri, 10th offensive efficiency, 198th defensive efficiency, and 64th in tempo. Like to get up and down. Lots of value here, Mike. Who are you considering on these Tigers in a game where the total is a little bit more than I was expecting, but either way, there's going to be some fantasy points scored in this one.
Yeah, a lot of fantasy points. And we have to look at this Missouri side, which can get tricky at times. It's been kind of annoying, right? I guess we start here up at the top. Kobe Brown. It sounds like a broken record. The guard forward eligibility, which is weird since he's 6'10", post player that can step out and shoot the three. Man, this is almost, I want to say smash spot, but he is sometimes volatile. Coming off a 37-40, but had a 24 before that. So we got to be careful on the payups. Or, like you said, 27 guys, between 7,500 and 9,700. So a lot of ways you can go with this. Obviously, attacking this game is a great way to do that. I mean, a 24% usage rate, 25% combined rebounding rate, an 18% assist rate for a big man, and then shooting 47% from three. So he's someone that I'm looking to get into a lot of my lineups. Georgia, 239th in opponent offensive rebounding percentage, 304th in assisted field goals made, and 295th in getting their shot block. So you can pick up a couple of extra blocks here. He looks like a fine play at that price point. And then for me, I guess the boy Hodge, he's okay. I'm looking more towards the bottom. If I'm going to play Kobe Brown, he's going to be one of my primary targets. And I mean, look, you can kind of spin the wheel here on the guards. I mean, Sean East, he's 4,900. It's annoying sometimes when you play this team because you don't know which one of these guards. I mean, they have Hodge. There's East, there's Gomillion, Golston's there, like Nick Honor, who I refuse to play after getting completely burned by him. But he's been good prior to the last couple of games. So if you want to use them in a large field, by all means. Trey Gomillion's the guy that I'm kind of looking at here. He's 3,300. I'm struggling, though, with this, man. I mean, you look at it. I believe he got 28 minutes last game. He's 3,300, put up 27 fantasy points. He's part of the the system here. Came over from Cleveland State. I don't know, man, because you look at it and he can give you a -1, and I would not be surprised. So it's pretty terrifying. But in the large field, I mean, he's a good stacking partner. If he could just get you 15, you would feel great, especially at that price point. He's shown a few times this year he can get into the 20s. But you just have to buyer beware, right? He could put up a 3 or even a -1. So it really just depends. Only a 17% usage rate and a 15% shot rate, but he does have a 3% steal rate and a 17% assist rate. So, for scraping the barrel, he seems like a decent play. Like I said, I'm kind of off Nick Honor. He's just annoying me and doesn't do much. Mohamed Diarra, if you don't want to play Kobe Brown, or if you want to stack them together, it's kind of interesting. He's 4,500, completely burned people. I think it was 18% on the last slate that we played, only 15 fantasy points. He's got an 8% block rate, which profiles nicely, a 38% combined rebounding rate, also profiles nicely, only a 14% shot rate, so he's going to need to make the most of his attempts. But at 4,500, I mean, he's someone that could get you 25 fantasy points. You could feel good about that. So I'm looking at Diarra and Gomillion as some stacking partners with Kobe Brown. And then maybe throwing in a Sean East in there as well. Maybe 1 out of 20 just to see if he's the guy that pops off because he's not going to be owned after what happened in the last couple of games. I don't know, Eric, man. Demoy Hodge, coming off a great game. I mean, the price really hasn't adjusted. And, I mean, he's been a pretty solid player, but the volatility is kind of crazy. I'd rather just spend up to Kobe Brown. What's your take on Hodge and the rest of this team?
Yeah, there's a few different ways to think about it with Hodge. Before we do, our guy Corey checking in and loving what you're talking about with Kobe Brown. Anytime that Mike is showing some love to the dual eligibility player,
I hate that.
definitely gets Corey going. So
yeah, man,
enjoying it right off the top. And then this was kind of nuts. I don't know if I've run into anyone that's got this kind of total. Jason B checking in chat has 200,000 crowns.
That's amazing.
Chest.
Man.
And that is absolutely the yeast that you need to
Dude,
raise
his regular savings account is probably crazy. I never have a savings account because I spend all my money when it starts to get too high.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Well, Jason, we're hoping we can turn some of those crowns into actual dough for you. Back to this Missouri game, you mentioned Demoy Hodge, and he has been kind of volatile throughout the season, but here of late, seems like he's kind of settled into a groove, right? He got that ceiling game, 37 points in his last one out. He's been up north of 25 points in 4 out of his last 5, right? So you're kind of getting what you're looking for out of a 7K flat player. I was also surprised that he didn't start to creep into that kind of mid or upper 7K range, but while he's down here, I'm probably going to take advantage of it. His rates look pretty solid. 20% usage is okay. 25% shot rate is better. 11% assist is pretty good, especially given what you mentioned earlier, that the Georgia side is 304th in opponents' assists per field goal make. So maybe he gets a couple additional dimes there. 2% block, 5% steal is insane, especially at this price tag. It's just low enough to where a steal or two can really move the needle for him. So, he's been volatile in the past. He feels like he's a bit more of a GPP play than anything. But the hot hand is a real thing, and I'm probably going to have a bit more Hodge than you do.
It's a go million play. It just feels so like dirty.
Jatobo from the other day.
Yeah, exactly. For Florida, yeah, like it feels like it should just. It feels so wrong and it feels so right at the same time. Like I have a feeling. Yeah, exactly. I don't want to be right. I like the go million play, but I like the Kobe Brown play more. I'm looking for another, a ceiling type game here in those mid 40s, and I think he's gonna probably end up paying off that price. Going against Georgia here. Let's talk about those Bulldogs. Not doing too great in this conference. 6-9, 16-12 overall. 160th offensive efficiency, 123rd defensive efficiency, 148th tempo. So this is a pace up for them. Not too much. You're not going to find any price kings on this Bulldog side. Only a few players really worth even mentioning. Mike, let's talk a little bit about the Bulldog backcourt. And I mean, there's going to be fantasy points scored in this game, right? So who's it going to come from on Georgia? Could be another backcourt.
Yeah, look, Terry Roberts at one point 3-4 weeks ago, a couple months ago, was someone at the 8K range that you thought about pretty hard. Now he's 6,800 and he's dealt with some injury, some ankle stuff. Like 30% usage, 31% shot rate, 33% assist rate. The only thing he's not really doing is he's shooting 29% from 3. So, I don't know, man. Like, he's so volatile right now, but that price is crazy for his talent. So, large field, absolutely. I don't know if I can get to him in like qualifiers. That just feels kind of crazy to me because Georgia's been getting absolutely mollywopped, and he might even play in the second half. So, yeah, I'm going to take a few shots at Terry Roberts here. Got to. You slide down this Georgia roster, and man, even though this game, like 77 points, it's a lot of points. Like, it feels like a lot of it's probably going to come down to him versus, Justin Hill and Akindo in that backcourt. Justin Hill, when you look at him, like, he's got a 23% usage rate. I don't know, man. Like, there's just not a lot of ceiling to him. Every now and then he'll get up into, the mid-20s. He even popped off for a 32. I think it was a couple of weeks ago. So, yeah, he's okay. I like his assist rate. When you're attacking Missouri, though, and he's probably the best one here. He's shooting 34% from 3 of these guys that have a higher usage rate. Missouri is giving up 300, or they're 260th in opponent 3-point percentage, and they're 337th in opponent 3-point rate. So they're giving up a ton of threes. Teams are making a lot of threes, and on those threes, they're getting assisted. They're 310th in opponent assisted field goals made. So Justin Hill kind of profiles well. It just feels ugly to say that at this price. If he was like 4,700, I would feel really great about this. I also worry. I know you're not supposed to worry about blowouts and things like that. They are at home, which makes you feel a little more confident that they won't get absolutely beat down. But his profile is nice against this team. I don't know. I don't really care for like any of the forwards like Braylon Bridges and Moncrief. Like, they just whatever, like Anselm, they just all kind of split minutes, and I'm not really going to that. I'm probably using this I'll probably have some lineups where I just use this as maybe a one-man run back or one-offing this game in general if I'm attacking some of these other games that are over 145. But I think, I'll have some Justin Hill. I like Terry Roberts more just for the upside. And then there's a Kendo who last year was fun, but I don't know. The price is right between the three, Eric. What say you on a Kendo, man?
Yeah, I mean that's immediately the first thing that jumps out, right? Of these three guards that really draw the majority of the usage. A Kendo sitting here at a very modest 5.2K. So the price is definitely right. That's what catches my eye. Part of the reason why he was so fun last year is a lot of what we see out of him this year. My guy just goes out there and just chucks, right? Like his usage rate is solid. He's 26% there. He's got a 28% shot rate, despite only shooting 27% from range. He's chucked up 111 attempts. I think it might actually lead all of the Bulldogs in 3-point attempts. So you talk about some of the weak spots for Missouri. They're allowing a lot of threes to go in. They're allowing their opponents to see an increase to that 3-point percentage. So if he's going to continue to chuck, he's got a decent shot of those going in up against this Missouri side. And while these scoring dependent players are a bit volatile, I mean, you look at his game logs, he's gotten to 5x in 3 out of his last 5, right? So, with that price tag being all the way down in the low 5Ks, 1 or 2 more shots from range goes in, and he's really cooking. So, it'll bring some risk. I think that's fair to say, but I mean, I think this has the makings to be more likely to be one of those fun games as opposed to watching him clank a bunch and watching your build slide down the ladder.
Georgia is a significantly different team at home than on the road. Like if this was a game where if they were playing this game at Missouri, I don't think these Bulldogs have nearly as much appeal. This is a much more competitive team at home, and these 3 out of their backcourt are going to play a big part in that tomorrow against Missouri. The Roberts, you said Mike makes 29% from 3. Well, Missouri is 337th in opponent 3-point rate and 260th in opponent 3-point percentage. So if it falls the right way for Roberts, and he's the Bulldog to go off at 6,800 to get that top, like a top scorer on a team.
40. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It could flip around real quick. So, all right, that's the first game of our showcase. If you're in with us right now live, drop us a line. Let us know what's up. Say hey. I know Jody's checking in with us, and Corey's checking in with us, and Jason is checking in with us. We appreciate that. Keep those comments rolling. And if you're new, welcome to the Green Screens Media Experience and One and Done. Make sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons if you like what you see and hear. All right. Game number 2 in this showcase. Those Longhorns, the running horns of the University of Texas, traveling up I-35 to Waco to play the Baylor Bears. 154-point implied total here. Baylor is a 2-point favorite at home. 78-76 implied total there by KenPom. We're going to start with the visitors first. Those pesky running horns that nobody's going to want to run into come March. This is a team that has been up and down. We've seen both sides of this team, but they're doing a good job, all things considered. And this is a very efficient team offensively and defensively, and they get up and down a little bit, can score the ball. Another team where the highest priced player is under 8K. Lots of different options to take here with this team, and any one of them can explode at any time. So, Mike, let's talk about the Horns first before we get over to Baylor. Tell us who we should be considering on these Horns.
Yeah, starts with Marcus Carr, man. Outside of last game, he was in the 30s, and he's been in the 30s consistently like all season. I missed the early part of the season on him because I had flashbacks to the previous year. But he's back. I'm not afraid to use him here. At 7,800, I think he's a solid play. I don't know that there's a lot of stackable options other than like a Brock Cunningham with him. It doesn't feel like him and Hunter kind of go together. Can you play Carr along with Brock Cunningham? Cunningham being 4K, just a weird player, man. Like 13% usage rate. It doesn't feel like he should ever score 25 fantasy points, but he's been 23 and 24 in the last couple of
Mike,
games.
how do you measure being a glue guy in DK points? Like, what is the denomination that they give out glue guy awards
he's
for?
a 35% glue guy rate. Like it's a very top.
That's the highest in the country easily, and it's not close.
Elite glue guy. But he's also got elite
close.
3-point shooting, 45%. Yeah. So, I mean, now that he's shooting three, when he shoots at 51 attempts, but man, he's been knocking down threes. He's a good rebounder. Like, he's a good passer. He's just a good player. And he's coming back again next year. So maybe he'll get the 5K next year with a few more opportunities. But I like Brock here. I'll take a few shots on him. I think if you're not playing Carr, I do like Jabari Rice. Like, 6,400, man, that's tough, but he's got 35 fantasy point upside. He's probably one of the best second half players in the country, man. Like, the guy is ridiculous coming out of the half. 23% usage, 38% from three. If shot fake was a percentage as well, he'd probably be 35%. That thing is nasty. So, yeah, I'll have a share too of Rice. And then Timmy Allen, I mean, he's 7,500. Man, if you want volatility in a roller coaster, go ahead and click the name. I don't know if he's going to play 24 minutes or if he's going to play 36 minutes. I don't know if he's going to score 35 fantasy points or if he's going to score 20. So, yeah, the rates are nice. If he gets minutes and he's got things going, he's a nice player. That 7,500 probably takes me out of the picture. For him, I'd rather just play Carr, Rice along with Cunningham. Maybe I'll sprinkle in Hunter, man. Hasn't moved in price. Eric, what's your take on the guy that should be 7K?
Man, I am absolutely sprinkling in Hunter. He's the captain of my Just Can't Quit You fan club right now, and a lot of it has to do with that price movement or lack thereof. Right, he's got the talent to be well into that 7 or 8K price range. Over these last couple games, he's getting more and more run, and it's starting to translate into more and more fantasy production, right? So sitting at 4.8K, I'm almost always going to click that button. There are a couple of things working in his favor, right? He's kind of right along with the other, primary pieces for the Longhorns in terms of his usage rate. Has a 21% shot rate. His assist rate is sitting at 15%. We are looking at a Longhorns team that's projected to score 76 points. They are coming in up against the Baylor team that is 348th in opponent assist to field goal makes. So we should see a few more dimes being dealt out that should theoretically, boost Hunter's production as well. I mean, my guy just loves the chuck from three, 32% from behind the arc, 119 attempts on the season. So, again, at a sub 5K price tag, each one of those that goes through really moves the needle for him. So, the thing with Hunter really boils down to the price, like I talked about. If he's going to be sub 5K, he's always going to be a priority for me, and it's been paying off at least over these last couple of games. He had a good one his last time out against Baylor as well. So he's got a little bit of history. He put up a 28 burger there. There's a lot that I like about this kid. I'm going to be all over him tomorrow.
It's one, like you said, I wish I knew how to quit you, except you can't with this guy. The talent is just so off the charts, and it's hard for me. I've been burned a few times on him, even at that price. When you see the snowflake up, it doesn't help you out at all. But I totally get the upside here. 4.8K for if those assists, because he hadn't had many dimes lately. He's got like 5 in his last 5 games total. But if he can exploit those weaknesses a little bit, and I actually like seeing Rice with the ball in his hands a little bit more, allowing when him and Marcus Carr are on the floor at the same time. That's a really intriguing duo right there for the Longhorns. And if Hunter could play that role a little bit more. And I think those assists will come, and that assist rate will pay itself off. All right, man. And Brock Cunningham, I gotta say, that guy. I go back and forth on playing him all the time, and at that price, it's just like he's gonna, especially at this point in the season, they trust him to be on the floor. And when the opportunities are there, he's going to be the one to get in the loose balls and the rebounds and the steals. And those things add up real quick, especially at 4K. All right. I'll stop gushing about the Running Horns now, okay? I'm excited about that team. If you can't tell.
You can cry in March. It's fine.
And we will. We will all cry. A deep, deep cry.
How bad do you want Marquette in Texas to play
Bears already? Come on, we know Mike's waiting with bated breath.
Can you imagine Marquette playing Texas in the tournament?
Yeah, I can, and then I could just picture the whole stadium imploding under the. All right, Mike's team, the Baylor Bears, here going on to the old, second offensive efficiency, 95th defensive efficiency. Got me shook here talking about these. Marquette and Texas matchup in the tournament got me shook. I couldn't deal with it. Mike, just tell us about the Bears. Where are we going with this? These guys, there's a lot of talent and not a lot of price. Tell us about the Bears, man.
Yeah. The best running joke: Mike's Red Raiders, Mike's Bears.
Oh well, they're true. When it's not a joke, when it's true.
Let it run.
Dude, it's on the scroll, right? It's a fact.
It's on the ticker.
Oh, jeez.
It's on the ticker.
I'm glad I have the screen at the smallest. All right, let's talk about the Bears, guys. Let's get this train back on track here. George and Flagler, man, for me. George 7,900, Flagler 7,600. Kind of flip a coin almost. The $300 difference makes me like Flagler a bit more, but hey, man, George has 40 fantasy point upside. Flagler has 35 to 40 fantasy point upside. George they've both been up and down. So I obviously don't play them together. And then there's this other guy, Cryer, who I just don't ever play, who's 6,600. I'm just going to keep shooting my shots here with Flagler and George, splitting them up and probably using, if I have 20 lineups, using them on 40% of my lineups. Baylor wants this one. They get back into kind of the thick of things at 9-6, right? So, I have to, man. They're at home. This is a decent spot here. Texas, some of their weaknesses, man, they foul a lot. So someone like George can get to the free throw line. He's got 30% usage rate. Where Texas is getting hurt is from the three-point distribution. So they're only allowing 33% from three, but primarily that's how teams are scoring against them. So, both of them shoot, decent from three, especially Flagler, 40% from three. George is 36% on 201 attempts. So it feels like one of these guys is going to go off for a 4.5 or even a 5X. Jalen Bridges, not for me at this price, 6,500. JTT, and I don't know, Jay, you want to take another stab at the name? Was it you last time that? Can you give the viewers?
We got Jonathan. Hold on, let me pull it back up here. Jonathan Chamwa Chachua. That's it, right?
Almost, man. Chachua, but close.
Jonathan.
Hey, man,
Chama
33
Chachua.
fantasy points, man. Like the guy Eric, he was on him last slate because he's talented, man. 33% combined rebounding rate, 3% block rate, 50% from three. He only has 10 attempts though, so you added that to his game. He's somewhat intriguing at 5,100. I don't know. For me at this side, I'm playing the top two guys. Eric, I know you went with Cryer last time. Had another solid game. Are you going back to the Cryer world to make me cry on my Flagler and George pick?
Yeah, I mean, I have to go back to it, right? That slate where I cashed a nice day in the February fadeaway was the tournament where I came in second in the qualifier. That was all on the back of Cryer. We've actually got a new friend checking in here, Ryan. Appreciate you swinging through. Hit those like and subscribe buttons if you haven't already. I mean, he brings up a fair point, right? George, Cryer, and Flagler, make it hard to feel super comfortable about their price tags, right? You're spinning the wheel, which usually is something we talk about with those lower price guys, but we're doing it up here in the in the high 7Ks or more. He also likes that 5.1K for Jonathan Taylor Thomas, which how could you not like that? So we appreciate you swinging through, Ryan. Definitely.
John
Hit that
Muchacho.
subscribe button. Check out all the content we're pushing out. Keep those questions coming. Back to my guy Cryer. The thing that kind of stands out for me, obviously, he's coming in hot, right? He put up that 33 burger. He's actually north of 30 in 3 out of his last 5. So definitely like to see that at 6.6K. His usage rate is definitely the lowest among these big three. He's sitting at 20% flat there. He shoots a good amount. He's 24% there. Hands out a fair number of dimes, 13% assist rate. But my guy is absolutely making it rain from the three-point line. 43% from range, 152 attempts on the season. So, you talk about that three-point distribution. The Longhorns are allowing a lower shooting percentage from beyond the arc, but they're allowing a ton of 3 points to lead scoring for their team. So it feels like this is probably a game where you see Cryer get a little bit closer to his ceiling in terms of actual points scored, right? He might even flirt with a 20 spot or so. I think maybe his assists and some of the ancillary metrics might be a little bit down, but ultimately, I mean, when a guy pays off for me, like I'm going to have a sweet spot for him. So I'll probably have a bit more Cryer than I should.
So guess who, when they played the first game, guess who had the most points of the 3 guards?
Man.
It was Cryer. He was 7 of 17, 3 for 6 from 3. Keontae George was 5 for 18 and scored 17 points because he gets to the free throw line. So
the thing that I like about that, Cryer put up 19 points in that game. Here I am pulling 20 right out of thin air, and he almost scored it in their last game. Look at us.
Yeah, look at us.
Look at us. Look at us.
I don't know. Flagler was 4 of 12, only had 11 points. This was in Austin, so you got to think a boost is coming. And if George is going to take 20 attempts at home, like, I don't know, man.
I would lean George's way as well, right? Like, usually what we're doing with Baylor is we're talking about how to determine between George and Flagler. And for me, Flagler sets up a little bit more against teams that are a little bit weaker in terms of assist per field goal made. That's not Texas, right? They're a little bit more prone to players that can drive, and that sets up like a George game, right?
Yeah, no, for sure. Jay, what's your take on this little tight rotation?
For the price and what the ceiling has been over the past few weeks, I like Cryer a lot in this spot. But again, it's hard to the comment in the chat, like it's hard to sort of pick one here and just know somebody's going to peak. Which one is it at this one? Yeah, thanks Ryan for dropping that in. It's hard to spin it. So I usually end up playing the guy on the lowest end of the price line, I guess. Thanks for stopping by, Ryan. We appreciate you, man. So that's why Cryer is a little bit more appealing to me here. So Ryan was dropping it in the comments. If you're watching and hanging out with us, you do the same thing. Let us know what you think about Texas and Baylor, any of these games on this slate. Who are you playing out of those teams, and which of the tournaments, which of the contests are you going to be a part of tomorrow?
And real quick, Jay,
for that bonanza seat. Yeah. So, Mike.
Real quick, man, sorry to jump in, but just so that people know about the Texas side, like Marcus Carr didn't do much. He only had 5 points. Tyrese Hunter took a bunch of shots. It was actually Timmy Allen who played solid. Not that this means anything going forward to the next game, because it feels like Carr, especially after last game, probably going to try to get up a bunch of shots. You would think that they need to get him going. So my bad. Just wanted.
No, you're good. That's important It's important for the sake of just making sure that we know sort of how that went down. Timmy Allen is a curious case for me because you can look up and see like it's the second half and he hasn't. He has 2 points and there's 6 minutes left in the game, and then you're a little bit worried about that. If he gets going from that 15-foot range and just starts getting comfortable, if Texas isn't hitting the threes and they need to go inside a little bit more into that mid range, he's the guy that can really catch on. But I'm gonna have a lot of shares in this Texas Baylor game, and it's usually going to be on the lower. On the lower price of that. We got one more in the chat, it looks like. What do we got going on over there now?
Quintarius.
Did y'all have Missouri or Georgia?
Is he talking like mean, if we're talking like betting lines, like you're talking betting lines. I feel like Missouri could beat the brakes out of Georgia, but Georgia has played better at home, which is what Jay kind of alluded to earlier. If you're looking for plays, I'm on Kobe Brown and mixing him with Trey Gomillion and Diarra. We talked about Demoy Hodge. Eric brought him up. I'm on the Georgia side. We're just kind of spinning the wheel on the 3 guards. Feels like Roberts has the most upside for DK. Hill profiles nicely, and then Akindo's just been pretty solid recently. So a great game to profile, which is why I was at the top of the showcase. But thanks for checking in.
Yeah, Contreras, thanks for checking in, leaving us a comment. We appreciate that. We always appreciate the interactions. If you haven't already, too, make sure you smash those like and subscribe buttons and be a part of what we do here on The Reg. All right, moving on down the old showcase. Arizona State Sun Devils traveling across the state to Arizona to face the Wildcats. Traveling to Arizona. You get what I'm saying. Traveling to university. Okay. 153-point implied total here. KenPom projected score 82-71 in favor of those Wildcats. Sun Devils an 11-point underdog on the road here. But that doesn't mean that we don't like what's going on. It's a pace-up game for these Sun Devils, Mike. Let's talk about them and how we might approach them.
Well, I'm still trying to figure out how to get from Arizona to Arizona, but
take a left over there at the big red barn, and you can.
Okay, there we go. All right, perfect analysis there. Arizona State, man. I was actually on the Better Sports Network today. If you guys didn't miss it, I'm there. We're there. I've been on the last couple of Fridays talking about this team as a bubble team. They got a tough road, but a way to sneak maybe a 4th team in from the Pac-12. They're going to Arizona. They go to UCLA, and then they go to USC. And if that's not a play your way in scenario, so I'm expecting a big effort out of Arizona State here. Probably not going to be enough. KenPom has this as an 11-point spread. But I expect these guys to come out guns blazing. The prices have kind of come down on some of their top guys like Frankie Collins. He had been there in the kind of the 8K range. Desmond Cambridge sitting there at 7,400. He's probably my favorite. It feels like he has the most upside of these guys. Almost a 30% shot rate, 24% usage rate. Not a lot of weaknesses on this Arizona side, unless you can kind of catch these bigs and pick and roll situations and get one-on-one matchups for these guards. I'm probably looking at maybe only one on this side, 71 implied total. But I'm probably looking at a guard if I have to. So Cambridge 6 out. Collins is only $400 less. He's 7,000. He's interesting for large field because no one is probably going to play him, especially after kind of how he's been performing over the last couple of weeks here. So yeah, I don't mind him for large field. You got to beat I think it's like 1,500 teams tomorrow. So don't mind him as a GPP play only. DJ Horn, been a little more consistent. Wasn't great last game, but 22% usage rate, shooting 32% from 3. So Arizona, they give up a lot of threes. They're 221st in the country in 3-point rate. Arizona does turn the ball over a lot. So some of these guys with higher steal rates, which are Cambridge and Collins, you pick off a couple of extra steals, that could be nice. I'm a little weary about the bigs in this matchup. Warren Washington. The price is kind of nice on him. Eric, he's got to be on the floor, right? If they have any chance. And that's almost good enough to play him, right? Are you going to be going with any Warren Washington?
Yeah, it's a tough spot for Washington, right? He's got to deal with Tubelis and Ballo down low. Generally speaking, for these sort of traditional big men, that's usually a pretty tough formula for them. I think the thing that that Washington has working in its favor, he's usually lacking from a minutes and just an overall usage standpoint because of this matchup in particular. I do think that we see both of those categories tick up a bit. He's crazy on the glass, 27% rebound rate, hands out a good number of assists for a big man, 12% assist rate and an 8% block rate. I don't know if he necessarily gets a ton of blocks going up against those two in particular, but ultimately, you look at Washington, it really has to do with how much run he's getting, right? If he's pushing north of 30 minutes, that's when he's into this 25 to 30 range pretty consistently. He's flashed for a 41-point ceiling, as recently as about a month ago. So, it feels like a really volatile GPP play, but if nothing else, he should push for, near a season high in minutes. And that's generally what's been holding him back this year. So he'll be in the pool, if nothing else.
Definitely have to consider that at the price. And when you're getting a pace up like this, and the most expensive players on your squad are sitting in the mid to low 7K range, you got to like the possibility for what could come if everything falls in the right direction there. If those guys, if Cambridge and Collins are making their threes, and even Horn, they all shoot right around that 33% for threes. So it's definitely an interesting play there. But Arizona here is the attraction. This is a team that will probably make a deep run in the Big Dance. This is a really, really well-coached team. They're an efficient team. They just play good basketball. And here's our price king for the night, or for the slate, I should say. And of course, we mentioned earlier, nobody over 10K. Mike, are we messing around there with our guy Azulis? 9.7K, like I said, the highest price on the slate. Are you playing him? And how else are you approaching the Wildcats?
Man, both the bigs are super enticing. Tubelis 9,700, man, and he hasn't been good. Like, I'm having a hard time not putting him as a core lock, especially because there's no one in the 10K range. Like, it feels like he's going to go for 50, but I mean, he hasn't been good lately. Part of that has been foul trouble in a couple of games. Balo was great last game with the 45 piece. I mean, I don't even know if we really need to spend too much time on Tubelis. He's just a beast, and he's 9,700. And I mean, there's not a TJD, like you stated earlier, Jay. There's not a Zach Edey there in the night slate. They're not trying to figure out how to get 11.5 in there. So, for me, it's Tubelis at 9,700. Then it's Balo too, man. Like, he could save 1,700. And if you get the ceiling game from Balo again, like, oh my goodness, like a 40 piece at 8K. I'm all in for that. Arizona State, I mean, like we talked about Warren Washington, he's not the biggest guy either. They're 301st in opponent offensive rebounding percentage. So, I mean, the class could be – one of these guys is going to have a big double-double. Tubelis offers a little bit more when it comes to, like, assist, playmaking. So, both of those – one of those guys is going to have a huge game. I don't know that I can put both of them together. They just haven't really been that consistent together. But one or the other for me, Tony Ramey's probably too expensive now, 7K. The bigs get back on track. He's probably not going to do much. He'll probably be back into the 20s. Where the bigs have kind of struggled is, where you see Ramey pop off, which, I mean, he had a 34 2 games ago, and that big 44 when Tubelis had a 10 and, or it had a 10 and then Balo had a 23. So that's when Ramey went off. So not for me. Pelé Larson, he's a little too expensive too. If you're expecting the bigs to have a big game, like, it's really tough. Kirk Reese is a little intriguing though. I mean, he's dropped in price. I could probably have a few shares, but I've been burned so many times by him, and his usage rate's kind of ugly. I don't know, Eric. Are you gonna play some Krisa maybe as a stacking partner to one of the bigs, or like, what's your take on him?
Yeah, that's exactly it, right? With this Arizona side, specifically with their guards, like, it's been one of the places where we've been spinning that wheel all season long. Usually it boils down to pricing, right? Just kind of looking at whoever's the cheapest. Obviously, from a pricing standpoint, Ramey has kind of separated himself from the other two a bit, but Krisa coming in at 6.4K. The thing that you like most about it, 28% assist rate. So he can dish out those dimes. You're looking at an Arizona State side that is 267th in opponent assists per field goal make. So, should get a couple extra assists on that side. And specifically, if you're looking to attack either with Tubelis or with Balo, I think Kirk Krisa makes a lot of sense as a stacking partner. And I want to go back to the Tubelis side. I mean, I might be overstating it a little bit here, but, yes, he's the price king. How many guys on this slate realistically have 50-point upside? Like 4, 5, maybe 6, right? of all of them, because of the way he's played lately, I'm pretty sure Tabellus is going to be the lowest owned out of the lot, right? So like that just screams leverage. It screams the type of things that you're looking for to take down one of these qualifiers, to take down a 3K to first price tag. So I'm probably going to have more Tabellus than anyone, and I like stacking them up with Krisa because of that 28% assist rate.
He did have 5 dimes the last time these two played earlier this season. You like that that upside there, and he's had games even more recently where he gets in the 6, 7, 8s. So you gotta like that there, and we like to get weird around here, mostly with our lineups. But Krisa is a good way to get weird a little bit. When you get into that mid range, I don't know if I'm stacking him, but it's the point about the upside being there, and just knowing like if Tubelis drops a 55 burger, and I don't know, and we might have to be in on that to win this big old tournament that we're going to be in and everything else. So
we talked about getting weird, right? Like ASU is absolutely on the ropes. They're playing for their life. They're going to get weird. They're going to muck it up, as Ryan put it.
Yep.
And then also we've got Quintarius checking back in. I'm pretty sure he's talking about the Texas A&M Aggies, but he wants to know our thoughts on whether or not they pull through. It's an Aggies team that Mike, you and I talked about last time we were on air that has gotten red hot since we put them on the bubble. What do you think about these fighting Texas A&M Aggies?
Well, I know they're going one way and Tennessee's going the other way, so I don't think they'll cross on the seeding path. But yeah, I think a lot of things that we saw were a 6 or 7 seed, just a terrible non-conference schedule, but been getting things done in the SEC play. Surprisingly, Wade Taylor, like you talked about, it's a guy that can get him a bucket. Henry Coleman's been pretty good this year. If it's not those Aggies and you're talking about Utah State, I need to make a push for them because the Mountain West getting 3 teams in, no, I'm not here for that. They need at least 4 because if you're going to tell me you'll leave out Utah State and New Mexico, like we're going to be robbed of one of the top 3-point shooting teams. I think they fell to second behind Colgate yesterday and Utah State, and then we're going to miss the dynamic backcourt of Jalen House and Jamal Mashburn Jr. Like, come on, like this conference is rated better than the ACC still. Like, it's been great basketball like all year. So that we're going off on a tangent, but yeah, those are my thoughts on the 2 resident Aggies. We're not going to talk about the New Mexico State Aggies. So.
No, but you got to the important ones there, and we covered all those bases because that's what we do on Green Screens Media, powered by drroto.com. All right, one more game in this showcase for us to get to. Thanks for being here. We're loving all the interactions. We're loving the comments. Keep them coming. Drop more questions in there. If you're new, we want to hear from you too. If you're here and you haven't already, smash those like and subscribe buttons. We appreciate you hanging out with us on a Friday night, or if you're watching this on Saturday, trying to cram in those last bit of lineups right there. You're in the right spot. We got you.
That's exactly
covered.
how I put my lineups in on Saturday mornings too.
My phone like this. I'm mad. Like this. I got one of those little. You don't have these anymore. Like nobody plays with this stuff anymore because it's all electronic. I got this on the ride to St. Paul. Man, it's clutch. All right, last game of this wonderful showcase here. 148-point implied total between Clemson and that's Wolfpack of North Carolina State. North Carolina State is favored by 677-point implied total for them, 71 for Clemson. Mike, let's start with the visiting Tigers here. Ken Palm metrics, 89th offensive efficiency, 70th defensive efficiency, 141st in tempo. Pretty solid squad, at least on those metrics here. Couple of guys over 8K for the Tigers. And then a little bit of value as well at the bottom of their price range. What are we doing with Clemson?
Yeah, I like the matchup against North Carolina State, in particular the bigs, right? Like, we love DJ Burns on the offensive side for North Carolina State, but don't necessarily like him on the defensive side. And you got the Jack Clark injury that We're not sure what's going on with the shoulder. He's that stretch 4 for NC State. So could get interesting, which Hunter Tyson and PJ Hall should probably take advantage. I just don't like that they're priced, especially PJ Hall at 8,200. I'm not sure. But Hunter Tyson, I mean, good Lord, man. Like for his rates being, 19% usage and 22% shot rate, like he's been money at points this year where he's been dropping 40 fantasy points in a 50 piece last time. So when you're shooting 42% from 3 and you're grabbing a bunch of rebounds and racking up double doubles, I guess that'll happen, man. So he's in the player pool. I don't know that I can click him because there are some guys like Kobe Brown that we've talked about and a couple of guys above Kobe Brown in price that probably want to get exposure to. So if you think, he's not going to be owned. He's never owned essentially unless it's like a shorter slate. So a decent leverage play if you feel like some of the top guys are going to bust. Chase Hunter, 7,300. Prices come up a little bit. Been very solid. I think some of the upside is being taken out in this spot. He's going to have to deal with Joyner and Travian Smith on the other side. But they're going to need to score. And I think this is a game that could potentially go over. I'm okay with Chase Hunter, maybe 1 out of 20. Shiflin, if you believe in a hot game followed up by another hot game, then you can go right to him at 3,900, but that's not for me. He's almost, it's basically 4K. I just don't foresee him going for 20 fantasy points or more. So, when you look at NC State, like they foul a lot, so they're putting you on the free throw line. They've been solid defensively, surprisingly. They're 63rd in defensive efficiency, but when teams are scoring their distribution, it's from the 3-point line. So, Hunter Tyson, Chase Hunter there. I don't know, man. Like, spin the wheel on the 2 forwards. I don't know. PJ Hall, what's the deal with this guy? We played a ton of him last year. We won a lot of money with him last year. We haven't really used him, and he hasn't really been great recently. Is he going to make it in any of your lineups?
The weird thing with Hall is he's almost the exact opposite of Hunter Tyson, right? Like you look at Hunter Tyson and all of his rates are, below average to poor, and yet he's still like putting up like 40 and 50 bombs. PJ Hall is the exact opposite. Like he lives in the 30-point range, but his rates are insane. 29% usage, 32% shot, 26% combined rebound, shoots almost 40% from 3 as a big man. And that's not like he maybe takes an attempt a game and it, he luckily goes in. My guys put up 70 attempts. So it's kind of a head scratcher. I think the price makes it difficult. 8.2K feels like it's just a little too much to not get into that 40, 45 point upside, right? Like he feels like he's way more of a cash kind of floor play, which is fine, right? And there are plenty of games on the board tomorrow where that makes sense. But you're trying to ship the big tournament, you're trying to punch your ticket to the dance. I don't know if you're getting the upside from Hall, even though his rates are just phenomenal. It's bizarre, but I'm probably going to come in a little underweight on him.
Jay, let's go to you, man. Like, what's your tiebreaker between Tyson and Hall? Like, what do you like here?
We've seen Tyson get above 40 multiple times already this year. We've seen him break 50 multiple times this year, and one of those times was against NC State their last time out with 53. He's playing some of the best basketball of the season right now. It's a good matchup for him. Smash spot, pace up for the Tigers. So for me, it's Tyson on this Clemson side for sure.
53 piece against this team, and there's maybe no Jack Clark. 8,400. He's not going to be played. Like people don't play this guy. So
yeah. I'm gonna have a little bit of.
A little bit, right? Like you're not gonna go crazy or anything. Yeah,
I'm not. Yeah, but for Tyson, for me, that's if I had to pick, he's my guy out of those.
Yeah, looks like we got a comment. A new Met County, is that what it is?
Hey, Met County, welcome in.
What's up, man?
Curious to know who the best salary savers are. Looking to save a couple of bucks, Mike. I know we talked about a couple in the showcase, but. Who are your salary savers for tomorrow?
Yeah. Well, a little bit of a tease because as soon as we finish this game, we're gonna get to the tiers. There's a couple of players in there, guys that we've already talked about. Trey Gamillion, if you want to spin the wheel on the Missouri guards, he's a guy in a really nice game environment. Brock Cunningham's been pretty solid, 23-24. He's only 4K. He's going to be played against a tough Baylor team. You can move over to, if you want to take a shot at Shiflin, like, okay. I mean, probably not the safest play on the board. Don't know that you need to go to too many.
Be popular too, right?
There's no way, dude. Like, there's just
coming off a 30 spot at sub 4K.
I mean, maybe people that just aren't.
Yeah, dude, people love chasing, right?
I guess. Yeah, go ahead and chase that if you're in the
I do.
tournament. You love chasing that. And then there's a couple of guys in some of these games that are not in our showcase that we're probably going to be heavily involved in the low tier. So stick around for, we'll get there in the next 15 minutes or so.
Yeah, won't be long. We'll get down to those tiers. But before we do that, let's move across the aisle here to the North Carolina State team here. That old Wolfpack. This is another good. There's a lot of good basketball on this slate, not just for fantasy purposes, but for watching and enjoying the type of games that are going to be played tomorrow. This is one of those where I feel like some really good basketball played. Where do we go with the Wolfpack? Terquavion Smith at 8.8K right now. Like I don't know, man. Let's start with you, Mike, again. Are you working with our guy Terquavion at that price, or you're looking for a little more value?
Gosh, no one's going to play him either because he hasn't been great. I mean, there's a 45 in there cooking at some point before this season ends. This could be the spot. I mean, Clemson, 299th in opponent 3-point rate. This is a guy that shoots a million threes, 242 on the year. If he shoots a little bit better than 33%, we're going to get that 40-plus piece. So, I like Smith. And it probably has to do with Joyner and how well he's played. And now that he's 8,900, I'd rather just save $100 and go from Shiflin to Brock Cunningham and feel a lot better about my forward spot. I'm looking at Smith. DJ Burns is in play. I just don't play a lot of him, but man, he could 5X at this price point. Casey Morsell, I don't know if this is a spot for him. He's usually better when you're attacking zones, which Clemson is, but I just feel like when you have the other two guys that are out there, they just take so many shots. It's really things have to go his way. The ball has to bounce to him just perfectly off some of these rebounds. He doesn't have high rates. He's got to really nail his threes, which he's been doing for the most part, 43% on the year. But things just have to go perfect for him to really get that 5X game for you. He's usually a guy that lives in the mid-20s. So, for me, I guess my priorities, Terquavion Smith, some DJ Burns. And then we got to figure out what's going on with Jack Clark, because this could open up either Ernest Ross or Greg Gant here, 3,700 and 3,200 respectively. They've kind of flip-flopped whenever Clark was out earlier in the year. Ross had a couple of good games. Gant had, I think, one really good game. We'll see. He's, left the last game and didn't return. So, we're going to have to pay attention to that news because that could open up some value. And I don't know if this is a slate where you need that many options at value. We've already given out a few. We got a few more to give to you, and these are a couple more that may come up. So, man. It looks like we got our guy. Is that Anthony G making the
man himself?
Late? Hey, what's up, man?
Return of the man.
What's
up, big cat?
Yeah, what's up, man?
Thanks for checking in. We're going to get this bread. Yeah. Catch up. Make sure to go back and catch up later on with what we've covered. But yeah, man, that's it's a good point. And I think the Jack Clark injury stuff is the one that I'm going to be paying the most attention to leading up to tip out of all of the games on this slate, because with that value that I could get plugging an Ernest Ross in, 16 minutes last game out against Wake, 15.5 fantasy points. 10 minutes before that, 11. Anytime he gets over 10 minutes, he's getting fantasy points. And if anything is there, in terms of being able to gain minutes with Clark being out, then Ross is somebody that's definitely appealing to me there. Eric, we got Jarkel Joyner still sitting there on that North Carolina State side. Lot to like about his measurables, his usage. what he does, what he's been doing lately, I should say. How are you approaching Joyner on this slate?
Yeah, I mean, look, they went out and got Joyner in the transfer portal to be that running mate to Traquavion Smith, and at times, including lately, I mean, he's looked like the one to Smith's 1A, if not vice versa. So, absolutely nailed it in the portal. And the thing that I think is really most interesting about the dynamic for tomorrow is Jarkel Joyner is now more expensive than Traquavion Smith. It's $100, but nonetheless, we've been going to him as kind of the pivot off of a Little T. So now that he is the most expensive member of the NC State side,
So
maybe
high.
that draws his ownership down a little bit.
I like that.
Maybe it's hard to say.
It should.
But his rates, really support why he's been playing so well, right? He's coming off a 42 burger. He's got 250 spots in his last 5 games. His rates are at 23% for usage, 23% for shot. He dishes 18% on the assist side. He can chip and dip 2% on the steal side, and just reining them in from 3, 35% from range on 141 attempts. So, the hot hand definitely goes there. It feels like he's in position to keep that going, and maybe he's just a little bit under-owned because of that price tag. I feel like people don't really go in and click the first name on the list because they are so expensive. So, it's something to consider. Another thing to consider, just kind of cleaning up a few things. These comments are on fire, so appreciate you guys chipping in and participating. Sure. Ryan, we are covering the noon Eastern main slate. That's the 12-gamer on DraftKings tomorrow. So good point of clarification there. Sounds like Ryan also likes the Traquavion and Ross combo. Ross at $3,700, certainly in play. So a lot to like about this NC State side for sure.
No doubt about it. Got through that showcase, those showcase games, those 4. That's going to be a lot of time focused on that. I'm going to be building a lot of my lineups really based around some of these higher projected totals. Obviously, that makes a lot of sense. Where the fantasy points are, that's where we want to be. Going to go through these tiers real fast. Of course, we start with high. We go to mid, mid, and then you go down to the low. Let's start with high. Eric, I'm going to start with you right now on the high tier here. Had somebody went a little nuclear last game, some extenuating circumstances, maybe driving him to play that well. Who are you looking at on this high tier?
Yeah, tough set of circumstances for Alabama as a whole and for Brandon Miller, and it seemed like, he was determined to play through it. So he's certainly in play in the high tier. He's 9.3K against Arkansas, coming off of a 65 spot. So obviously he's on the short list of players that can lead the entire slate in scoring. I also like Chris Murray coming in. It's 9K flat. Usually that flat price tag draws ownership away. So might be overlooked. He's got the price tag, the price cut, I should say, largely because he's kind of on a skid, 17, 23, 36 over his last 3. But that little guy right there in that 4th game, 61, right? So definitely carries the upside we're looking for. Mike, anyone else in this top tier that catches your eye?
Yeah, I mean, those 2 really catch my eye. But Jordan Hawkins is kind of interesting. He had a really good game against St. John's. It's UConn. This is, I think they're probably they were the number 2 total on the board, if I'm not, or number 3 total on the board. Not in the showcase because, 1, Mike Anderson's crazy and plays all kinds of lineups. 2, UConn, you just never know, and they just never really seem to hit ceiling. We're mostly talking about Sonogo, who we haven't really talked about on the show in a long time.
We are definitely talking about Sonogo.
37 and a half.
Yeah, exactly. He's 8.5, so it's not going to get it done. Hawkins, if you want to take a shot, see if he gets a 40. He takes a ton of shots. He's going to have to knock down a bunch of threes. He's in play at large field. Mike Miles Jr., did I say it right? Mike Miles Jr.
Mike Miles Jr.
There you go. 7,700 at Tech, played 38 minutes last game. Now's the time to jump on. He's too good. He's probably going to score 30-plus fantasy points. And we just, we know the upside to get to the 35-40 has always been there. Just coming back from injury a few games ago. So, yeah, that kind of rounds out the high tier for me.
Chris Murray in a good spot, good matchup for him to go off. Mike Miles Jr., that he makes a difference on that TCU team. Love watching them play. Okay. Move on down to the old mid section here. Mike, I'm going to start with you in this mid tier. Couple of guys here over 7K that we might be interested in. Who are you looking at?
Yeah, Eric talked about Chris Murray, which always means we have to talk about the other big here in 7,200, and that's Rabracha. 7,200 at home against Michigan State. Yeah, it's been a little while since he's been to the 30s, but could definitely double-double in this spot, and so he's definitely in play. A.J. Hoggard on the other side at guard, he's 7,100. He just went off for 34 last game. He's a guy that can go 5X. It's just – you just don't know, man. He's either going to go 5X or he's going to score 15 fantasy points. Like, that's just who he is. But this is a tremendous spot. I was always a pace-up spot, so these Michigan State guards are interesting. And then Fardaws Amac, man, like, just been balling out, right? Like, we've seen the progression, 13, 27, 34, 36. It's probably not going to stop. Well, it might this game because TCU is a great rebounding team. They got some bigs that can really challenge him, but he's still 7,100. The price really isn't moving, so I think we got to go back to him. Gosh, I don't know if the 5X is there, but you could see a 4X, 4.5X. So it wouldn't surprise me if you went for 5X. But anybody else popping off to you under 7K, Eric?
Yeah, I think we got to take a look at Tyson Walker, the guard for Michigan State. He's 6.3K. They're facing off against Iowa, and that Iowa matchup is a pace-up spot. Walker's coming in off of a 33 burger in a fairly neutral spot, so getting a little boost there. Like the potential to get to the ceiling, and then we've also got one of the guys that we've been playing a ton, and that's Nick Smith Jr. Ryan's right there with us, 5,400. This is a 5-star prospect, and he is finally not only playing like it, but he is getting the requisite minutes to play like that. Coming in off of the 32 spot. So definitely gonna go back to the well with Nick Smith as long as he's getting as much run as he has.
It's taken long enough. Hopefully he can stick in that rotation and keep those minutes. It's fun to watch. And obviously being able to get in on that 5.4K, you love to see or to at least think about the upside there. Last tier here, going down low, a couple more value plays here for everybody hanging out with us. Mike, I'll start with you one more time here. Give us a play in the low tier.
Yeah, I think you have to look at Jaden Bradley. Crazy minutes. Him and Javon Quinterly have been so annoying this year. Along with Rylan Griffin, the guard rotation. Really, anybody in the SEC is annoying. Like Missouri's guards are annoying. Auburn's annoying. Alabama's guards are annoying. Even their forward, all their entire roster is annoying outside of Miller. Arkansas is not as stable as it gets, but now you have Nick Smith. Anyway, that's my SEC rant for the day. Sheboy's been annoying. Sorry, I forgot that one. But Jaden Bradley, man, he's going to play that many minutes. Sign me up. I just don't know if he's going to play that many minutes again. So absolutely terrifying, but it's a large field GPP. Throw him in.
Nothing has been as annoying as trying to figure out what Mike Anderson is going to do with his rotation. So, I'm a bit of a glutton for punishment. I'll go back to the well with Andre Curbelo, the big transfer coming in from Illinois. Seemed like he was kind of in a weird spot for a while. He had that random DNP coach's decision a few weeks ago, but back in the rotation. He's 4.5K against UConn. He's coming off a 29 spot, so definitely like to see that at that price tag. It would be weird for him to just go back to the bench or have his role diminish. So I think he's in a pretty good spot to go back to the well with and potentially push for another high 20s, potentially low 30s upside tomorrow.
I can't do it, but I don't blame you if you try. Mike, one more injury note real fast. Bryce Thompson injury value possible there. Coming out of Oklahoma State, who should we be maybe paying attention to if Bryce Thompson's out?
Yeah, you got to look at John Michael Wright. Yeah, it's going to be big because Avery Anderson's already out.
Yeah.
And now if you get, Bryce Thompson out, like Woody Newton, maybe, like that doesn't feel great. Yeah, I would look at those two. I'd rather just take a shot at Cabello. Like, I don't know, man. Like, look, if he's going to play high 20s minutes, he's a 6 to 7K type talent. Which is why
it's cheap, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's just cheap.
4.5K is cheap.
Yeah, it's cheap for him, and you just hope that Mike Anderson just lets him do his thing out there, and you just don't get burned. So, I think we got one more question here. Let's see, from Met County, PV. So it's Micah PV from TCU or AJ Storr from St. John's. That's kind of tough. You'd probably want to mix things up. I don't know that I'd recommend either one as a play. I would, if you had to choose between the two, I would say Storr, just because he has a higher. It could be a blowout, so UConn could pull them out, and he's going to play because they need to develop him for whoever's there next year if he stays. It's not going to be Mike Anderson. But if you have to pick one, I would pick Storr over PV. Especially with Mike Miles being back, like the usage between him and Ball and then Eddie Lampkin back in the fold for TCU, it feels like it's too much going on with TCU. And don't forget Miller's there too. So a tough TCU squad as Jay's got his purple on tonight, right?
Yeah, it's not my TCU purple, but it is my purple, and it's fitting because I've been singing the praises of those Horned Frogs now for quite a while, and I will continue to do so. Eric, I want to go to you real fast. We got a little nice little announcement here for our viewers, our commenters, our listeners, our subscribers, or soon-to-be subscribers. Eric, you want to fill in everybody on the little giveaway we'll be doing?
Yeah, look, obviously this is a super exciting time of the year for us, and we want to sort of up the stakes for the Green Screens Media faithful. So kicking off here down the stretch run, we're calling it March Mania. We are giving away an autographed college basketball item every single week. This week, we're kicking it off with the announcement of a Matthew Mayer signed jersey right here, signed. It's got the cert. All you got to do is pretty simple. If you're on YouTube, you've done the hard part. Hit that subscribe button, but then get over to our Twitter page and retweet the post where we are announcing this week's giveaway. That tweet is also linked into the chat, so should be able to just click that and hit that retweet button. We're going to let that cook for the rest of the week, and then when we're back next Friday breaking down the Saturday slate, we will give away this Matthew Mayer jersey, and we will announce that week's giveaway. So make sure you're staying tuned. If you're subscribed, hit that notification bell so you don't miss anything between here and there.
Absolutely. Big time stuff there, man. That's exciting. Happy to be doing that stuff, giving some stuff away for y'all. Being a part of this show, it's important to us that y'all are here, that you're leaving us those comments, talking to your friends about what we're doing. We've seen y'all in the chats. We've seen the views going up, and we appreciate what y'all are doing to help spread the news about what we're doing over here at Green Screens Media. Mike, before we get to the vaunted Core Four, wanted to talk to you a little bit in terms of some bets for tomorrow. I know some of our viewers tend to tune in for a little bet action, just straight up bets with some numbers and stuff. So what are some of your best bets for tomorrow?
Yeah, I think the Texas Tech, the train kind of stops here. I know they're at home, but TCU's coming. Mike Miles is another game removed. It's going to be tougher for AMAC in there. I just think I like the TCU money line here. I really do. It's really hard to run the gauntlet in the Big 12, and no one's ripping off 4, 5, 6 games in this conference. So I do like TCU here. I also like Kansas State as well. Like them at +2.5. Mississippi State, I feel the same way here about Texas A&M as I do about Texas Tech. And no, it's not just I'm a Texas fan, because I would feel the same way with Texas in the Big 12 having a 4 or 5 game win streak. But I feel like Mississippi State, like very tough inside. Tolu Smith is a load. Deshaun Davis has been pretty solid recently. I like the money line with Texas A&M visiting here. And then Florida State, man, they are just terrible, and Miami is surging, and it's 13.5, and I don't think this game is going to be anywhere near 20 points. I think it's going to be north of that. I think Miami and these guards are just going to absolutely shred Florida State. And then also check us out. We posted 4 bets earlier today, and we went 4 for 4. So made a little coin tonight. So it was a nice night there. So we'll post some more as we kind of go throughout the day. 4 for 4 bets last Saturday during the slate. So it's been pretty fire. Pay attention to that, and I love this giveaway, man. How do I get involved?
Oh, simple. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that retweet.
Yeah, and hit that retweet.
Mike will just be wearing this jersey on the stream next Friday.
Thank you guys for subscribing. Check out my new jersey over here. Yeah, pretty sweet action. Members of the Green Screens Media and their families are not eligible to win prizes or the giveaways. We'll just leave it at that. Lastly here, guys, we always leave with that Core Four. So let's hit them with it. Mike.
All right, how about we do it? Let's do this, man.
What do you got?
Let's mix it up, man. I'm gonna go Mike Miles and Andre Curbelo, and I don't care what anybody has to say about Curbelo. He's too cheap. He's too talented. Mike Miles is gonna have a breakout game, so I'll go with Miles and Curbelo. Eric, give me a third, man. Who you got?
Yeah, for me, I got to go back to the very first game we talked about, and that's Kobe Brown. I know that Corey was giving you a bit of a hard time, tongue in cheek, but I am a sucker for a player that is eligible at both spots, and obviously it's a really solid spot overall for Kobe Brown. So 8.7K. I mean, he's flashed 40 and 45 points in his last 5 games. Love getting to that upside. I think that leaves Jay rounding us out with that 4th spot. Yeah,
that's right. And I'm gonna go ahead and spin that wheel. And I like Adam Flagler here for those Baylor Bears. I love the rates. I love the upside. I think this is going to be a highly contested game all the way down to the end. So it's Flagler for me to round out our Core Four. Mike Miles Jr., Andre Curbelo, Adam Flagler, and Kobe Brown. Appreciate everybody that is tuned in with us tonight. Do not forget to go smash that subscribe button. Get over to YouTube. Get over to Twitter. Retweet that giveaway tweet that was in the chat. You can find it if you follow us at Get Green Screens over there on Twitter. You should follow this guy at Fantasy Nav. You should follow follow both of them at Fantasy Nav, at MC Holland 34. You can follow me on Twitter for fun too, at Dr. William Cannon. I follow back. I'm ready to interact. We're all ready to interact. And you know what else we're ready to do? Ready to get this bread.
Thanks for stopping by the office. Get your fantasy prescription by subscribing to the channel and checking out drroto.com. And until the next visit, be well and take care.